Here's how to create engaging ESL lesson plans. Step 1 is to find out students' needs. If you can match your lesson plan to the students' needs, students are going to be more engaged and more interested in your lesson. If you're not sure what their needs are, just ask them, why are you studying English? And this will kind of lead you down the right path to figuring that out. The second tip for ESL lesson plans is to set the context. So you can teach students all kinds of grammar, vocabulary, whatever you're teaching, but if they don't have a reason or a situation in which to use the language, it's not going to be memorable. Tell students explicitly when you're teaching something, this is when you can use this language. Give them the context or a situation or example of when they can use it. The third tip for ESL lesson plans is to match whatever you're teaching to real life. If students kind of just see the language as some far off thing that's not actually that useful to them, they're not going to really remember what you're teaching. But if they can connect it to real life, this will increase motivation. The fourth tip for ESL lesson planning is to use a variety of games and activities. If you do the same old boring thing kind of every day, of course, nobody's that interested in that. So use something different, have a few routines, but also mix it up once in a while in your class. The fifth tip for ESL lesson plans is don't be a slave to your textbook. If you just kind of go through page by page by page by page in your textbook every single class, I get bored doing that. I think students get bored doing that. So the way that I would usually do it, if you have some freedom, is I would take maybe a page or two, the vocabulary or the grammar, or whatever was in the textbook for that day, and I would kind of design a lesson based on that. So I would use the textbook for a bit of the class, but I would do kind of a freer practice activity at the end of class, kind of based on what was at the beginning of the class. The sixth tip I have for lesson planning is to make it student-centered. So I'm already quite good at English. I don't need to keep practicing. However, my students need the practice. They're in my class because they want to get better at English. So I try to give them as many opportunities to practice as possible. So this means that maybe I'm speaking less, but they are speaking to a partner or in a small group a lot more. And the final tip I have is to allow students a chance to show what they know. So sure, I can teach something. Maybe I'm teaching the simple past or I'm teaching some vocabulary set, but I try to give my students some freedom, especially at the end of class in the free practice portion, to kind of show what they know and to use whatever language or resources they have at their disposal. They can be creative as long as they communicate well in a way that's understood. Okay, so those are my tips for creating engaging ESL lesson plans. Please be sure to check out my book, ESL, EFL Teaching Practice and Methodology, and please leave me a comment and let me know your number one way to create an interesting ESL lesson plan.